I'm kind of surprised those brownies finished up in time, but we are ready to go. So tonight is all about last chance items. I have a cute project for you using some items that are on the last chance list. They're all still available as of 7 minutes ago. And let's see who's on. There we go. Let's pop this up. Turn the sound off so you don't get double of me. And there is the live chat. Yay! Okay, here we go. So, let's start with we are going to be using Playing in the Rain, and we'll be using both the stamps and the dies. This was a carryover and in the annual catalog. I don't believe it was bundled any longer, but it doesn't matter because even if you were, you don't want to, if you were going to get it, you don't want the bundle. Okay? It is cheaper to buy the items individually than it is to buy the bundle if it's available. I don't think there is a bundle. Let me check super fast here. I'm going to zip on over here and see. I'm pretty sure not. Yep, no bundle. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so there we go. See, so far I don't see anybody has entered the chat. Oh, there we go. Hello, Cynthia. Of course, there's a delay once you type everything in. So my brownies got done. I saw a recipe on Facebook that was a handwritten recipe from decades ago. It looks super simple and quick to make. And so I thought, oh, I'll throw those in the oven. They'll be done just in time. Yeah, it took a little longer to put together than I thought. Okay, so Playing in the Rain. This stamp set was $26. It's in the last chance list for $15.60. Oh, and the dies, the coordinating dies, Playing in the Rain dies, were $35. They're on sale for $21. I've got a few of these out that we'll be using. Okay. And then we're going to be using the 2023 to 2025 in color designer series paper stack. And this was $12.50 and is now $7.50 if you don't already have that and you want it. Okay, then we have the Countryside Corners dies. Those were $28. They're on the last chance list for $19.60. So everything I'm using tonight, for the most part, except for the cardstock. I didn't check to see if the in color sparkle gems were on sale. Forgot to check that. We're going to be using these as well, so they may be on sale. And then I needed a tiny little tag, and so I'm going to pull in this tiny little tag from the Notes and Totes. This is an upcoming release, but any tiny little tag that you have will work. Okay, hi Tracy. So those are our last chance products for this evening. Again, let's take a second look for somebody for those who are just jumping on Countryside Corners, the dies, Playing in the Rain stamps and dies, and the designer series paper for the 2025 or 2023 to 2025 and the opaque sparkle jocks. I think everything is on sale. So I'm going to check those opaque sparkle dots while we're waiting for people to jump on. Yes, those are on sale for $7.20, down from $8. Okay, so all of these last chance items are on sale. Woohoo! Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're about 7:08, so we're going to go ahead and jump on and get that done. Okay, I did do some work ahead of time because I didn't want you to have to watch me do stuff twice. So let's go ahead and get started with our stamping though. So we're going to take some Memento Tuxedo Black, and we're going to take the bunny from the Playing in the Rain. And then we're going to take the puddle. And that's all we need to stamp in black. Okay. Then we're going to take Basic Beige. I'm going to stamp some clouds. Okay. And lastly, I have pre-cut, oh, I'm losing my ribbon. I better set that somewhere where it won't get lost. I have pre-cut the, one of the country, well, I pre-cut a bunch of the Countryside Corner dies. I'll just pull those all out now. So I've cut the third largest in Moody Mauve, and I've done that 4 times. Okay, you're going to need 4 of these. And then in Bubble Bath, I cut the 4th largest die in Bubble Bath. Okay, so you actually need 5 of those cornerstone dies for this box, but you could get away with just 2 for top and bottom if you don't care what the inside of your box looks like, but the other 2 are for the inside to cover up the mess. Okay, let's go ahead and get some stamping done on this. And we are actually going to emboss this. So let's bring in our Embossing Additions toolkit. I'm going to start with our embossing buddy. Just going to give that a good rub. And then we're going to take the Raindrop stamp and some Versamark ink. Oh, I put my Versamark ink in the wrong direction. Makes it harder to grab. Okay, so then we're going to ink this up. And we're going to randomly stamp this on our cardstock like so. And I know you can't see that. It is there. That's the Watermark clear sticky ink. So we're going to bring in our tray and clear embossing powder. I'm just going to pour some of that on and give that a tap. Take any excess off that we don't want. And then we'll clean this up so I don't end up making a big old mess. And we'll set that all aside. Let's grab our tweezers. This also comes in the Embossing Additions toolkit. We're going to heat up our tool. Oh, hang on. Before I get too excited about that, I see that I hit an edge of my stamp and I don't want that there. So let me take a paintbrush and take that off so it doesn't end up looking terrible later. Okay, well, I see another spot. Darn it. I must have caught that same edge down here too. Okay, good enough. Now let's heat this up. And right now it's a little bit on the white side, so when it's done, it'll turn clear. And then hopefully you'll be able to see that. Okay, that looks good. Everything looks, let's see. Yep, you can see those. Okay, so we'll set this aside. And that is all of our stamping. Oh, except for our sentiment. Let's go ahead and grab the little tag, because I pre-cut that from the notes and totes. It's a pretty tiny little tag here. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on this piece of Moody Mauve. And I have this piece of Moody Mauve because I wanted you to know that when you're cutting your countryside corner dies, if you cut your 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock at 2 3/4 on the 11-inch side, you can get 2 of the countryside corners from each strip that is 2 3/4 by 8.5. So you would need basically half a sheet of cardstock to cut the 4 corners. But I like to do this in the 2 3/4 inch size, because then I can't get too far over on my cardstock and mess it up, so I can't get the rest of them. You guys, I moved my 2023 to 2025 in colors around, and I'm having a hard time finding them now. I moved them out of the in color spot to the retired in color spot, and I'm having a hard time finding them. So this Hi Friend comes from the Wonderful Thoughts stamp set. This is carried over again. It's a great stamp set because all of these sentiments have coordinating dies to cut these out precisely. We're not cutting them out tonight. I'm just using this Hi Friend on this little tag. And it is a pretty good fit for this tag. So we've got that. And now I think that is all of our stamping. Okay, so we can set that aside and we can start on this. Okay, so for our little bunny, we're going to color her nose in a light petal pink. Flick in some light petal pink into the ears there. And we're going to color the jacket in Moody Mauve. So I'm going to start with the dark. And you guys, I'm kind of just showing you because I've already done this and cut them out. So we're just going to put some shadow there, and I'm just going to put this in shadow. And then we'll bring in the light, go over that dark so that everything blends. Okay, and there is the jacket. Now, what little bunny wouldn't be thrilled to have a sparkly rain jacket. Oops, sorry about that. So I'm going to take my Wink of Stella. I know, it's a shocker. And we're just going to make her rain slicker jacket here sparkly. Okay. Then we're going to color our puddles. We've got 2 of them. We're going to start with the dark. And I'm just going to throw in some dark here and there. And when you cut this out, this puddle will cut off, but we're going to use this. So that's why I'm coloring the whole puddle. Otherwise, you would just want to not worry about it. And then trim up your bunny's foot if you didn't want the puddle. I want that puddle. Okay, so our bunny's going to be white, but no, as you know, white is not actually white always. So we're going to add in some shadow here with our light gray granite on our bunny. Just going to hit some of these spots where there would be shadows. You want to do this with a very light touch. Okay, put a little bit up here on the ears, just for a little bit of definition. And that's a pretty quick color. Okay, so there's our bunny. We're not doing anything with those. Now, we have coordinating dies for these. So we can just take and set these in here. Do up our clouds. Run those through the die cut machine. And then you've got some cute little pieces for our card. Okay, so we've got our clouds, we've got some puddles. This is the puddle that's left over. I fussy cut that out when you die cut that bunny. Okay, I want this piece. So we're just going to move all this over here. Move that out of the way. Let's go ahead and bring in our piece here. And the first thing, well, you know what? Nope, we're not going to do that. Let's build our box. Let's build our box. Okay, let's get all this out of the way and we'll get our pieces. You don't need much cardstock. So what you need are 2 pieces of basic white or willow white will work. Both of them, from what I can tell, the 12 by 12 white, you have to have 12 by 12. The 12 by 12 white, basic white, and the 12 by 12 white willow seem to be the same thickness to me. Okay, so you could use either. And you need 2 pieces. Okay, I've already done one of our pieces because I didn't think you needed to watch me do everything twice. So this piece is 1 5/8 by 11 3/8. Okay, this is actually our bottom piece. I've already pre-scored the top piece. Let me go over those measurements with you. This is our top piece right here. Okay, so you've got a piece that is 1 5/8 by 11 3/8. You're going to do your first score at 2 3/4, second score at 3 1/2, third score 4 3/4, 5 1/2, 8 1/4, 9, 10 1/4, and 11. Okay, that's on the long side. Then on the short side, you want to have your score at 1 1/4 inch. Okay. Now, I'm showing you this now because it's very important when you go to do the bottom of the box. I'm going to show you this one because it's a little bit tougher than this one. Okay. But if you want your joins on the outside to match up top and bottom, then you'll want to make sure that when it's the top of the box, your short score is at the top. And when you're doing the bottom of the box, you want that short score on this bottom edge, okay? Which means that you want your short tab over here with this short tab at the top. And on this one, we're going to put the short tab over here and the short score, long score down here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, the top of the box piece you can score on the Simply Scored tool or your trimmer. The bottom you have to score on the trimmer. Okay, so let's get our bottom piece scores. And these are a little tricky, I'm not going to lie, but let me show you what happens when you just cut it down a 16th. Okay, so here's the box when you just cut it down a 16th on the two long sides. Okay, I left everything else the same on these three scores as I did for the top, but I shortened this one by 1/16 of an inch, and this is what you get. Yes, it'll stay closed, but if you put any weight in it at all, it's not going to stay closed. And if that's what you want to do, great. Here is the box when you do it the way I'm about to show you. It's a nice tight fit. That's not coming off, and even if you put weight in it, you're not going to have to worry. Okay, it's a nice tight fit. All right, so here we go. We're going to take this to 2 3/4, which is the same score we used on the top, and then we're going to back it up what I call a hair, okay, which is 1/32 of an inch. Okay, so that's halfway between the little 16th mark here and the so we got the 16th mark right there, and then you've got the 2 3/4 mark here. We're going to put it smack in the middle of those two, okay, as close as you can get, and we're going to score. So 2 3/4 minus the hair, and then we're going to go 3.5 minus that same hair, because remember, we're only shortening the long sides. 4 3/4 minus a hair. Okay, 5.5 minus a hair. And then we got to put out our little, doesn't work very well with my camera stand. We're going to go to 8 1/8 this time. This is the long side again. We already shortened it a hair. Now we're going to shorten it 1/8 of an inch and add 1 hair. Okay, so 8 1/8, and then move it forward halfway between the 16th of an inch and the 8.5 and give that a score, or 8 1/8 and give that a score. Okay, and then on each of the next ones, 9, we're going to go 9. Then we've got to add that hair so that everything is equal, and then we're going to go 10 1/4 and add that hair, and then we'll go to 11 and add that hair. Okay, now remember, you want your score on the 1 1/4 inch side on the bottom here. So We're going to put this in, and I'm going to score on this side. I want my score here. So I'm going to move this over to the 1 1/4 inch side. Hopefully we're in camera here. Gosh, I didn't even check. Oh, yes, we're good. Okay, so we're going to go to 1 1/4, and we're going to give this a score. And that's going to score on the wrong side. Okay, hang on. Give me 1 second. Let me think on the trimmer how I have to do it. I want that score here. I have to use this side. I have to use this side because my brain can't think the other way. Sorry. So 1 1/4 inch, I want my score here. So that's where I'm going to put my score line, right here on the bottom. So that I've got my glue tab here on the right and my short score on the bottom. I hope that's clear and not muddy. Okay? So then what we need to do is we need to fold and burnish on all of our score lines. Now, if you don't care how your pieces line up, then you don't need to worry about which side you score that short score. If it doesn't matter to you, then that's fine. Okay, so we've got a couple more here. Just going to fold and burnish those down. All right. So now we need to do a little trimming. And I'm going to take, this is my glue tab again. I'm going to give it a slight angle cut there and a slight angle cut at the top. And then I'm going to come down to the bottom and do a slight angle cut and remove that piece. Okay. Now, in order to make these go around that octagon, I'm going to take and fold over the first score, and I'm going to do a slight angle cut to the right. And then I'm going to work my way down those scores. Okay. Just keep moving down the scores, slight angle cut. And this is going to allow this piece to move and bend easily without getting caught on itself. Okay. So we just keep angle cutting to the right, the same direction on each tab. And when you're done, then you have these triangle points, and that's going to help you build your box. Now, we don't have one down here, so on this one, we're going to angle cut out. Okay, that's all done. Now, you would do the exact same thing on your top piece. Okay, so your top piece is going to look like this. Your bottom piece is going to look like this. And I've pre-added my designer series paper, and I'm going to tell you what the measurements are for those. Okay, and actually I should just write them right on here while I'm telling you. You need 4 pieces of DSP that are 5/8 by 1 1/8. Okay, 2 pieces that are 1 1/8 by 1 1/8, and 2 pieces that are 2 5/8 by 1 1/8. Okay? And then you just can glue those on. You can glue them on now, or you can glue them on after. It's easier to do it now than it will be later. Okay? So let's move those out. Let's bring our countryside corners back in. And let's see. I got to move this down so I can see comments. Yeah, a hair. I could say 1/32nd, but there's no 1/32nd mark on the trimmer. It would be really nice if they would put those in for me. Okay, so we're going to set two of these aside because they're going to be our inside piece. We're going to start with one, and we're going to start with the top piece. So we're going to set our bottom piece aside. I'm going to bring in some tear and tape for the side piece glue tab only. Okay, I'm going to use tear and tape here. I didn't find tear and tape very helpful for doing the top or the bottom piece there. Liquid glue will be your friend because you can move things around, okay, as you need to. So let's go ahead and take off our backing for our side tab. And this is critical. You really need to get this lined up top, bottom, and right up next to that score line. You don't want to go over the score line, but you want that right there, okay? And you want to make sure that the top is even and these score lines meet up, okay? Then we'll just give that a good burnish. We're going to do these much like the hexagon boxes, if you saw that. Okay, yes, I wrote on there, no, I'm not worried about it because I'm going to glue this down right here on the top and nobody's going to know I wrote there except you and I. Okay, so we've got that. Kind of get it into a rectangle-y, more rectangle than that's how you want it. And then we're going to add some glue to the top. Make sure these are pushed down. You don't want them sticking straight up because you'll have a hard time putting them back down with the glue on them and not making a total mess of your fingers. So it might look like I'm being super generous with the glue, but I'm really not. Just giving little, very thin dabs here. Now, I found that when I did this, the easiest way to do it was to line up your two sides and then the end pieces will kind of just fall into place. So I'm going to put this down, upside down, because this is going to be the top of my box. And this is going to go on the inside. And then I'm going to line this up as best I can. I have to do it flat between these 2 points, okay? And I want it to be a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch in from the side. Okay, so I'm going to set that down gently. I'm not going to press anything into place yet. Okay, so you can see I've got that, how that is, right? Then I'm going to switch it to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing and press that in. Okay, I've got just a little bit of a lip. Now everything else I should be able to just press in that same 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch and it should all fit. Okay. And once I like where it's at, I'm just going to press on the inside. I'm going to go to the far end here, press that in, make sure they're all where I want them. And then I'll grab my bone folder and give those a good press. Okay. And now everything's nice and taut. All right. Got a good adhesion. We're going to set this piece. Well, we're not going to set this piece anyway. Okay. Now I'm going to take one of these pieces. I'm going to bring in my trimmer. I'm going to put this at the top of my trimmer, and I'm going to slice off about, what is that? 1/8 of an inch? Yep, 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to cut that. Okay. I'm going to rotate it. Cut 1/8 of an inch. Rotate again. Cut 1/8 of an inch. And finally, we're going to rotate there and cut 1/8 of an inch. Now you could try to do this at 1/8 of an inch. Well, I guess I could. Now that I figured it out, put your flat part up here. Stick this down here. Give it a trim. Stick this up here. Give it a trim. Just keep moving your flat sides on those corners. Keep it up there at the top. Okay. Now, if you're a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch, does it matter? No. Okay. The next size piece down was just too small to cover up the ugliness in my top. Okay, so I'm just going to take this now, put a little bit of liquid glue in here, go around those edges, but not real close to the edge. Okay, and then I'll just take this, drop it inside. Well, I will if my tweezers will let go. Okay, and then I'll just give that a press in. That's going to do two things. It reinforces the top of our box, sandwiches our glued parts to make it more solid, and provides added strength. Okay, so now our top is done. Okay, you with me so far? Time for the bottom piece. Again, we're going to use some tear and tape on that tab. You could use liquid glue if you wanted. I prefer the tear and tape when I can. And then we're just going to remove that wax paper backing here. Again, I'm going to line this up, making sure that I'm right on that score line and that my score line down here matches up and my top is nice and even. Give that a good burnish. And now we're going to bring our top back in. We're going to put this into its little rectangular form. And then we're going to drop this in the top, like so. Pop that in. This one seems a little bit tighter than I wanted it. Yeah, for some reason it's a little bit longer. Okay, well, we gotta make it work. So we'll just pop that in there. Smooth that all out. Okay. I might have a little bit of trouble with this one. For some reason, it's not wanting to do what I need it to do. I might have, hang on. You guys, I have one here. I'm going to redo that. I must have hit something wrong. That is just a little too tight. So let's go back here. I'll cut this off at the end. And let's do the 2 3/4 minus a hair. Sorry about that. For some reason, that's just really tight. This is what I did before. 2 3/4. Where's my thing? You'll get to see this twice. Okay. And then we need 3.5 minus a hair. 4 3/4. 5.5. 8 1/8. This time we're going up a little. And then 9. 10 1/4. And 11 and a hair. Okay. And then I'm going to park my score blade. Just going to bring this down and leave myself enough for a glue tab. And there we go. And then we'll take that 1 1/4 inch. Score that. And we'll try this again. Oops. Not sure what I did. I'm pretty sure those are the measurements I used. Okay. Fold, fold, and fold. Crisp, crisp. Okay. Now let's grab the paper snips. Cut our glue tab. Angle cut. Hopefully this one works out. Oh my goodness, that'd be terrible if it doesn't. Okay. All right. Hello, Laura. Okay. Now let's get that and furnish. Any extra that you have, just fold it in on top of itself. I did not trim this piece like I should have. Right here on this end, we need a notch. And then we'll line up those score lines, make sure the top is even and the score line on the bottom matches up. This part is very important that you get this just right. That's weird too. Okay, got that. All right, so we've got it. Okay, now bring back in our top. Put this in. Push it down nice and tight. It's still bowing. I do not like that. Why is it doing that? It just is. Huh. You guys. Of course, it always has to have. I did this right before this afternoon, made sure that those measurements worked. Oh my goodness. And now they don't want to. Well, let's just go. We're just going to go with it. It's going to work out. So now we're just going to take our glue. Put it on here. And then we're going to take our other rectangular octagon. And again, I'm going to set this down. Try to match up those sides. And before I give anything a press, I want to make sure that I'm right in the middle there. And everything fits like it should. Okay. Give that a good press. All right. Now I'm going to give that a good burnish on the sides. Let that dry. Okay. Now, before I do anything else, I need to make sure that before I pull that apart, I need to make sure that's all nice and dry. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and start decorating. So first thing we're going to do is take a piece of the iridescent striped trim. This is what it looks like. And if you've been watching, you know I like to cut them. Okay. So I've just cut the outside 2 pieces of the iridescent trim off. And then I'm going to wrap this around here. And give it a tie. And this needs to lay flat, which it is not. Oh my goodness. Why are we struggling tonight? Okay. Need to go left over right. There we go. Now it'll lay flat. Let's make sure it's flat on the back. Yep. I'm good. Then I'm going to bring in my tweezers from the Embossing Additions Toolkit as my third hand to hold that knot while I loop, swoop, tuck, and pull. Or try it again because I let go. Oh my goodness. Come on, grab, loop. Okay, where did that go? You guys, I'm struggling here. I never have this much trouble tying a bow, for goodness sakes. Get in there. There we go. There we go. Okay. Then I'll get rid of those. That in here. Okay. Now this is going to go on the top here. So let's go ahead and get some dimensionals and put that on because it'll be easier to work with if we do that. Okay. And I'll be able to still move my ribbon up and down as I need to. Okay. these down. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want that down a little further. Let's try lining that, centering that up as best we can. Okay. Now let's grab our little rain puddles. I want this here. So I'm going to lay this in here kind of where I want it. And then I'm going to add this one first. And I wanted this to kind of cover up that hole. So let's put this here. And then we'll grab this one. And add it in here like so. Okay, get that. Now we're going to take our little bunny, and he's going to get some dimensionals. I need to figure out where I'm going to put my ribbon. This ribbon has to come down. And then I'll know where to put, there we go. Then I'll know where to put my dimensionals because I don't really want them over the ribbon. Okay, I'm going to take, I want his little ears to stick up a little bit. And I'm going to put one more right here. And hopefully that'll all work out. And then we're going to slide our bunny right in here where the foot is supposed to go. Put this down. Slide that ribbon down just a touch. Okay, there we go. Got that. Now we can add our hi friend, and I'm going to do that with a glue dot. Right here, and I stuck that. Oh man, hang on. I stuck that dimensional right where I can't get in there. It's been a day, man. Okay, well, we're just going to pull that one out. There we go. Put this in here like so, where you can read it. Okay, and then I'll go back and add that glue dot a little bit further in, and that will support that hand. Tweezers. I don't know what we would do without those. Okay, so now we've got that, and the last, well, almost the last thing that we need to do, I'm going to put a couple of clouds up here. And I'm only putting glue at the bottom because the cloud's going to hang off a bit of the bubble bath piece. And then I'm going to take the tiny little cloud, put that down here a bit like so. Maybe I want to turn that cloud the other direction. Hang on. Let's do, yep, I like that better. All right. Actually, let's pop this one up. Let's pop it up. There we go. Then let's trim these off. And grab our gems. Okay. And we'll get our take your pick tool. And I'm going to use the Moody Mauve dots. Put one there, one there, and another one right there. Okay. And there is our octagonal treat box. Nope, still not dry enough to open. But this one is. So there we go. Okay. And that's quite a good size, so you can get some fun size candy, some Hershey's Nuggets, some Hershey's Kisses, pretty much a lot of things that you'd like to put in there. And this would make a really cute little Easter box. All right, everybody. I hope you like that tonight. That's what I have for you. I'll be back on Facebook on Tuesday night at 7 with some more tutorials. I hope to see you then. Thanks, guys. I'm so glad you liked those boxes. All right. See you later. Good night.